Shubho Aparno. Salam alaikum, everyone. Kemon acho. My name is Achana Roche, and I'm the Global Lead for Measurement at SCT Pool, working across brands and partner agencies across APAC, Central Europe, and Africa for the adoption of measurement solutions and best practices. So today I'm going to be taking you through measuring advertising effectiveness, and that is the key role that I play, is how we can help advertisers understand what is the impact and what is the real value that they're getting out of their meta campaigns. In fact, value is something that is very central to everything that we do at SCT Pool. And I've always been talking about this across all my sessions, is when you're talking about value, what is it that you're really looking for? Like, this is the first thing that I would like to ask is, how do you define success? So do you define success by social metrics, which are like clicks, shares, or virality, which is really good to have, nice to look at, but do they really align to your business outcomes? So what we have seen across studies is that social metrics are not necessarily aligned because they do not have any correlationship with brand lift or sales outcomes. So we are not seeing any sales lift across that. So yes, these are called as, actually we call them as fleeting metrics because they do not have any business impact. So once again, if we ask the question that how do you define success, then it should be, the answer should be that it should have a positive impact on your brand. It should give you positive brand outcomes, and that would be what is the brand awareness that my campaign was able to bring about? What is the preference that the campaign was able to build in the minds of the consumers? Was I top of mind? So these are the questions that meta measurement solutions can really help you answer. And that is the whole idea about measurement, effectiveness, and how you can align both of this with everything that you're doing on Meta. Because this is how it allows you to understand or determine what is working or is not working in your advertising strategies, how you can smartly make better decisions for your future investments, and in all thus capture all the value that you are bringing through all your marketing activities on the Meta platforms. And I'm really happy to share that we at SCT Pool have conducted over 30 measurement studies in the region, and we have some best-in-class success stories today, so really happy to share with you. But just wanted to reiterate that, the first question that you should always ask is, how do I define success? And definitely social metrics are not what you should be looking at. Rather, you look at what is the true value. And today I'm bringing to you 5 to 6 case studies. These are being done with one single question in mind, is how am I being able to bring about that incremental lift or that additional improvement in whatever brand metrics that I am looking at. So I'll start with the first one. So this is the first study that we did with Robi. And thank you, Robi, for being such a pioneer in adopting test and learn as a culture. This was done almost 2 years ago during the pandemic, and it is still relevant today. And why would I say it is relevant? Is because of the way the brand used what really touches the consumer in the right way. The campaign was all about the norm, the new norm that we were trying to follow during the pandemic, and aligning very well with what the message was all about. So the message was Robi's 4.5 strong broad network. What they did was they had a lovely video which showed slice of life, very delightful moments of the daughter using a tutorial that was streamed from 4G 4.5 Robi's network. and how seamlessly, it showed this lovely thing uh, about the daughter and the father bonding. This really stayed with the consumers. And the most essential part about this campaign was Robi ensured that the brand logo was there right from the very beginning, from the 0th frame, from the 0th second. And that is what the brilliant basic that we call at Meta is about, is you follow all the media basics right, you follow all the creative basics right, and this is how users will then reward you with memorability. And what we see over here, this particular campaign, with the way it was rolled out, because the creative was so relevant, plus the logo was so well defined right from the beginning, stayed in the minds of the consumer, and brought about an incremental 10.7-point lift with an already high base audience that Robi attracts. So everybody knows what Robi is, popular brand. Yet a 4-week campaign was able to bring about plus 10.7 point, which is almost 2x, I would say, than APAC norms. So really brilliantly done. We are so proud of this number. And message recall is 3.5, plus 3.5. Again, is talking about how well the consumers resonated with the message that this was a strong network. And the brand awareness increased by 13.8%. So this was really a very well done campaign, and really proud about this one. Next we have from Mobile Finance, Nogad. Now Nogad was a very interesting play. Nogad started with a long-form creative, which was a horizontal TVC. And with our recommendations, they came back with a lovely short seconder. This was a 15-second vertical video that they created. The beauty about this one is whatever they had to say, the main proposition that was the campaign was about was brought right in the beginning. So if you will see, I'm so sorry, this is not playing. Okay. All right, yeah. So all the information was put right in the beginning, so completely differently done than how a TVC is played, because that's when for drama you put everything towards the end. Nogad brought everything that the information, dial this number, 167 whatsoever, we are having a Beshi, sorry, I think I lost the sentence here. It's a Bengali sentence. Basically, anything that you want to do with cash, you come to Nogad. So these two things were very nicely put out there. And therefore, what we are looking at is an ad recall. So users are remembering this message. So when you're scrolling on newsfeed every day, there is a clutter that you're looking at. There's a clutter of messages. Yet, when a user is remembering a hard question, like, do you recall a brand saying so-and-so, which was that brand? Users have remembered Nogad and have given a plus 3.9 lift. So this is very well done. And again, you can see that the overall message recall was 3.4, and millennial audiences is again plus 2.2. Again, this is a category where the millennials as well as the Gen Zs, they are sitting on the fence, and moreover Gen Zs as well. So for them to remember that everything that I need to do, I need to go to this particular brand. This particular campaign was really very well, sorry, that's the wrong word, was really very nicely being able to resonate what it was trying to do. So again, a very nice one from a finance category. This one is from Sprite. Now, when I was talking about earlier is likes, shares, clicks, they are social metrics. This is not the kind of engagement you should be doing. But then again, we want to understand what kind of engagement works. And Sprite did a phenomenally fantastic job with this kind of engagement. So what the brand did over here was, for their summer campaign, they came out with a series of short videos wherein they let the user, first they led the user into what they were talking about, and then they put the whole story into the user's hands and asked them to conclude how it should end. This is the kind of engagement that the user was absolutely delighted about and started commenting, talking about how it should be. So this whole play of how to get your user engaged back with you, decide for you, for the brand, and there was a polling that happened after for this whole series of summer campaigns that they did, because of which the story ended in a way which was in favor of how the user wanted it to end. So this is the kind of engagement that really works for brands. As we can see, there is again a 10.2 incremental lift. So incremental, as we understand, is always additional to what you already have, right? So imagine this is a summer campaign ran during, just for four weeks, yet, and plus there is a base audience, which is what, because of the brand's brand equity, because of all the television, outdoor, everything that it is doing, the base is really very high. And in a 4-week period, the brand is able to increase the memorability of Sprite by plus 10.2 by engaging in this kind of interactive videos on Meta has really brought success for the brand. And when we ran a brand lift study, we also saw that the top of mind is plus 4.8. Now, top of mind, as you know, is the hour of truth when your consumer is in the shop or is online, wherever, when he's buying. Brands that come top of mind, they are the ones who dominate the market share. So a plus 4.8 point is a huge number. And I would like to clarify here is probably you would say ad recall is 15.5, top of mind is 4.8. So that's a very small number compared to ad recall. So if I ask you, for example, something like, do you remember something? So you'll definitely say, oh yes, I do. Then I'm going to ask you a hard question. What do you remember about that thing? Like, give me the specifics. Now, when you ask hard questions, it is very difficult for consumers to remember exactly, and they get completely confused. So now the variance starts, getting wider. So amongst these people, for example, we have 100 people. If I ask, do you remember something? 80 people will remember. But if I tell you, give me the statement correctly, how many people will remember? Probably 40. And if I ask you even a personal question, okay, now will you go and buy this? So now I've set you thinking, you are thinking about, okay, do I really need to? I remember it, I know it, I kind of like it, but am I supposed to buy it? That's when the variance will even come, further down. So therefore, 4.8 is an excellent number, because people were able to remember what the brand message was about, and they kept it top of mind that, Sprite is the one communicating it this summer. So another very beautiful campaign. I'd also like to mention over here is that they also followed good media brilliant basics. So when we are doing measuring effectiveness of advertising, it has to always be a good mix of creative brilliant basics as well as media brilliant basics, because these are the levers that will really strengthen up your campaigns on the platform. So it's like a structure that you will build. So your structure has to be really strong. So any lever which is not strong, kind of brings down the structure. So this was a very well done campaign again. Okay. So far we were talking about single lift BLS studies, basically. That's what we call when we are doing measurement. So when you're doing measurement, when you're trying to understand what is the effectiveness, you're doing two things. First, you're trying to understand how or evaluate what is it that I am doing, am I doing correctly? So that is what we saw as previous studies, the previous examples of success stories. Now, as a next step, you figure out, yes, I know this is working for my brand. Now you want to get better, right? I mean, we always want to get better than what we are. And Meta solutions offer that. We have something called as multi-cell studies. Multi-cell studies will help you understand how you can understand or fine-tune between two strategies. So for example, you and your boss probably are not on the same page, or you and your team are not on the same page, and there's a lot of assumption that is happening around. Go and test it out. Or for a very simple matter, go and test out whether, we always face this. We get television commercials and we understand that, there is production costs involved and this is already successful for you. So why would you need a TVC, why would you need a mobile first creative for digital, for Meta? So we get that. So probably the most natural progression for you would then be, okay, I'll take the TVC and I will run it also on digital. But then you say that, sometimes it just doesn't work for you. So you need to go back, speak to your creative teams, or you need to go back and actually figure out or evaluate which works best for your brand. And this is the best way that you could go with it. For example, Grameenphone over here, they had a long TVC that they came up, and they wanted to measure the impact of this particular campaign that they were running, which was a wide network, the 4G network campaign, very lovely one again. HTTP recommended that, why don't we try also running a short campaign which follows all the brilliant basics that we've been talking about recommending that will work best on Meta, best on Facebook. So let's do a multi-cell study. So you have two parallel campaigns. One is a challenger and one is business as usual. And let's see how that works out. So Grameenphone came back with a lovely video again. This was not something that was, too thought about. It was just a very simple video, and yet it gave such lovely results. So they had, right from the beginning of this particular video, if you can see, the logo is present right in the beginning. The message is present upright over there. So when the user is scrolling to the news feed, even if he is not even listening or he's put it on mute, he's not missing what he's saying out over here. So you can very clearly see that what is the message coming from Grameenphone. And therefore, when we tested the two strategies, what we found was a shorter video was the winning creative. The shorter video delivered better ad recall, better memorability. So remembering and identifying that this is coming from a particular telecom network was working well when it was used with a shorter creative. Again, the message association is +2 point and top of mind is 1.4. And probably you'll say, okay, the numbers are, why the numbers are lesser? Like I told you earlier as well, the variance starts becoming wider when you start asking consumers harder questions. And therefore, this +2 point is above APAC norms. 1.4 is also above APAC norms, which clearly indicates that when you use creative brilliant basics, when you use all the right media brilliant basics, even for the 6-second video, Grameenphone used all the media brilliant basics. And therefore, this is what they were rewarded with. This is the brand love that we talk about, that yes, I remember who the brand is, and I also know what the message that they were talking about. This is an excellent example of another engagement activity that Coca-Cola did. And this was a global connection that Coca-Cola very beautifully brought about. So this was for the Happy 50 Bangladesh campaign, wherein Coca-Cola was inviting users from across the world to write back to people in Bangladesh and wish them happy independence, 50 years of independence. And they also had a musical theme going on. So they did a lot of activity on their Facebook page, really beautifully done. The ad recall was +5. So now probably you would also ask, is all right, we were seeing +15, +10, now what happened to the ad recall? Again, this is again a factor of, we all know soaps, we all know oil, we all are using, these are mass brands. So therefore, when we come to CPG, for example, even a 1-point incremental lift is a huge lift. So when we are looking at a +5-point lift in ad recall, is actually telling that within that 1-month frame, within the 4 weeks that Coca-Cola ran this campaign and wanted to understand the effectiveness of their hashtag Happy 50 Bangladesh, they created the impact. The campaign was able to deliver. People knew that Happy 50 Bangladesh was coming from Coke. And the top of mind was, again, 3.9 and a +6.4 from millennial males. Plus, we are seeing ad recall from Gen Z females, 9.5. So again, a very beautifully run campaign. This one is from Ramadan period for Ramazan. This is from Abul Khair for Mark's Full Cream Milk Powder. This is a very lovely campaign, and why is because when Abul Khair came with the TVC for this, we recommended that, why don't you try getting a shorter video and make the hero the product, and just focus on, what will, in the shortest way, what you really want to say. Ensure that all the creative, brilliant basics are followed. The logo is right out over there. The message is right out over there. I'm sorry, it's not running. But what they did for this campaign was they focused entirely on what this milk product company was about and showed only desserts. Now, this is a time Abul Khair ran it during the Ramadan period, where we are talking about, iftar time, where people love to consume, love to break their fast with sweets. This was ripe time for them to run this campaign. They did it very nicely, altered the way it should be running, not the TVC, but a mobile-first creative format, and followed all the brilliant media basics as well. That is, they ensured that all the objective was correct. So it was brand awareness, for example, as objective, not engagement. The audience was broad. They ensured that they followed a reach and frequency. So again, how your buying format is. So all these things really make up to ensure that your campaign structure is very strong. And that's how you can then start measuring the effectiveness. It's like, if you are going to study 10 chapters out of 10 for your exam, you're going to really do well. So that is how you can be much more effective. So this is how it really rolled out so well. If you look at the action intent, so this campaign is really very special, is because it was able to move the needle for action intent. So we have a plus 6.6 point. This is way above APAC norms. So if you ask me what is action intent norm, it's roughly in the area of 0.8 to 1.2. We are looking a straight 6.6. It has really hit the audience well. They have, and this is amongst the female audiences, and a plus 8.6 amongst Gen Zs. Gen Z females have also got inspired to try and experiment with this. So really well done, because the focus, the entire creative was done in such a way that only the food was the focus. So earlier the creative was like the full family, everything was happening. So while it works well on television, because it's a different format, on Meta, because we all are there to meet our friends, family, and we're doing a lot of other things. We want brands to tell information very quickly in the shortest, snappiest manner, and this is why this is really works so well. And lastly, we have a wonderful campaign that has come from the heartlands of Bangladesh, from the rural audience. So there is this myth among CMOs, if you'll allow me to say that, is probably my rural audience is not on Facebook, but this campaign totally defied that. For their rural marketing campaign, what Hispani did was, so let me start again. So for CPG, for example, we all know small packaging is actually big. It is a big convenience for the rural audience, because it allows him to indulge in what he sees his city counterparts at a very small price as well. But there was a little problem there, is at the moment of truth. So when you're at the point of sale, we call it kirana back home, but the small shops, right? The hole in the wall kind of shops. When I have to buy the product, do I have the right change? Now, if I don't have the change, probably I will not buy it. So Hispani saw this price fallacy and decided to do something about it. And that's when they came up with this amazingly innovative small packaging at the right price for the rural audience. So instead of having a price of 11 takas or 7 takas and 13 takas, which would be difficult for the rural consumer to pull out, they just made it flat 5 taka and 10 taka. And of course, adjusted the packaging as it would be convenient for the company. and in terms of grammage. And then they ran this campaign exclusively to the rural audience. So the city was completely excluded. Yes, time's up. The last one, yes. And this is how it really worked for them, because what we are seeing is ad recall is 14.1. This is really huge, and this is your rural audience who has given such high memorability. They are there on Meta. They are there for you to send out messages to them. The message recall is 7.3 and top of mind is 3.3. So again, really brilliantly done. So yes. So this is how successful marketers, they are experimenting, they are taking test and learn as a culture. And with meta marketing, when you are talking about how I can understand what is the best way to understand the efficiency of what I am doing, then measurement solutions from Meta will really help you. I would also like to add, we had this conversation going about a very beautiful panel discussion that happened about influencers and what would be the best way to understand which influencer I could go about. We have a solution from Meta, for example, multi-cell studies, wherein you are paying so much for an influencer A, and probably you have an influencer B who is a micro-influencer. You could actually be running studies and find out which influencer is giving my brand better lift, or because of which influencer the intent to buy has improved. And that is how you will be able to then, be able to understand, should I be going forward with this influencer or not? So we will be able to help you with all these kind of decisions, helping you to do smarter decisions for your investment forwards. So that's what Meta Solutions will help you, measurement solutions, and that's it from me. So thank you so much for the audience. Do you have any questions, just in case? Okay.
Doing it in digital first is different from doing it for the TVC or doing it for the TV and then adapting it. Apart from the length or aspect ratios, things like that, which can be tweaked, right? Say, for example, you can have for the TV something which is a 15-seconder, right?
Yes.
Or the Grameen example that you used, the logo can still be there, the message can still be short and crisp. How do you think is that different? Where if you do it digital first, how would you look at it as different or unique or creative? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question, and a very crucial question, in fact. And we always recommend this, in fact, as well, is whenever you're starting your TVCs, also try to have a digital first, and I'll tell you why. What we have seen, consumers have been absorbing content so furiously and so fast, is that they want you to show you content in the most organic manner. So the first thing when you're bringing a TVC is you're bringing something which is small, which kind of gets stunted in size. Whatever you're showing, then if you're showing your logo, you're showing any mnemonic, is already tiny for him or her. Plus, you have a real estate right there, which is actually a square or a higher ratio. You're not leveraging what you're paying for. So that's the first thing you should see, that am I even using the space that has been given? And moreover, if you are doing any like for instance, instant experience is one of the solutions that we have. A beautiful solution where if you press on it, it goes interstitial, right? So there you have 100% his attention, share of voice right over there. So imagine if you're doing that with your TVC, user is twisting, he's not liking it. Like, unless and until he or she knows that this particular brand really comes up with amazing long creatives, then wants to be engaged with you. And that you're leaving it to him again, you're at his or her disposal. So how do I be naturally present there? Just be there, as a brand, and get out from there quickly and still do, what is required to be done. And if you'll see your own behavior, in the first 2-3 seconds, if the brand has not spoken to you or captured your attention, you have lost him, right? And then you can't be feeling bad about it because that was your only chance. So that's why we have something called as, so we run both together. We have something called as a scorecard mechanisms when it comes to, and this is not just for measurement, effectiveness, and understanding. I would say this is for all your business as usual campaigns also. Always ensure that they're creative, is always having this 5 points. It's firstly, 15 seconds is also like a movie on Meta. We have brands who have used this as a learning agenda that they are running only 6 seconders. But I would not say 6 seconds suits for your consumer, your user. You need to test it out, and you have the solutions out there for you. Like a multi-cell, you could test out 6 seconds versus 10 seconds versus 15 seconds. But ideally, your creative has to be between 10 to 15 seconds. Otherwise, unless it's like very clutter breaking and you're telling a really gripping story. So creative, mobile first, so it has to be a vertical, because you have been given the room, might as well spread your arms and use that. The logo has to be from the 0th frame. If you're there, subconsciously she is already seeing you. In television, if you bring your TVC, because of the drama, because of the nature of TV, and because we relax and watch TV, we are already sitting there allowing the medium to show us about the brand towards the end. So you would have a nice story saying, no mention of any logo, nothing, and just for that subtle, nice impact, the logo comes in the end with a lovely message. But will your user even reach that if your TVC is long, right? And if you use it on Meta? Because probably he will just fall out after 3 seconds. Your video view has not been even completed, like 3 seconds and out, dropped out and gone to what the friend is saying. So therefore, if you can just keep it right over there, have that message right over there, put the logo right on the screen, almost like stuck, if I would say. Allow me to, I'm sure creatives are not gonna like this, but if you can just have all this in the first 3 to 6 seconds, you have won the game. In terms of you have given your 100% to communicate to the user. Now it's up to him, and also, users are in different frame of mind when they're on the platform in the first place. How is the best dump-proof way to, get through them? So have the logo, have the message. Also, it has to be soundproof, sound off. Not soundproof, sound off, sorry. So, because most of us, like we all are multitasking here, we are on our screens right now, right? So, if the message is not understood, how will they understand message association? Intent to buy will never happen. Preference will never happen. Because the hero is looking good, the brand ambassador is looking good, influencer is looking good, she's shaking her head, all that. What is she saying, right, if you're on mute? But if the messages are put out, like in a caption format, of course, nicely done, you have delivered. So you have done everything that is required for the user to understand. And that's when they appreciate it, because then if they're interested, then they'll engage with you further. So I hope that helps you. Okay, thank you. So are there any more questions? Okay, thank you. I think we'll break for lunchtime. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.